Retro anime. How did we find it? How does it hold up? Unpacking the ins and outs of being an old school nerd and proving that 80s kids can't remember a damn thing right. These are the mindless midlife musings of the anime nerd.
Welcome to Mindless Midlife Musings of the Anime Nerd. I'm Rick, and I'm joined by the rest of our panel, Brian, Lynette, and Vic. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello, people.
Hey. Today, it's monsters, aliens, laser swords, and giant robots, as we repel yet another alien invasion of Earth and help battle the evil Cthulu, or Cthulwolf, depending on your version, with Fight Iczer One. Fight Iczer One is a 3-part 1985 OVA directed by Toshihiro Hirano and animated by Studio AIC. It is an adaptation of a manga series from 1983 by Aran Ray. The North American release was done by U.S. renditions in 93, 94-ish. They produced in conjunction with LA Hero. Media Blasters picked up the rights to this after the turn of the millennia and did a DVD release around 2004, 2005. So since then, it's kind of gone by the wayside. You're going to have to hunt that one down if you're interested. The 1983 manga is a sci-fi horror and yuri manga, and it was published in the hentai magazine Lemon People. I feel like this will become relevant during the episode, I wanted to just preface with that's something that it was. The story is of an alien invasion of Earth, like all sci-fi anime really, which is opposed by Iczer One and her schoolgirl companion Nagisa. Together they can pilot Iczer Robo, a giant humanoid robot. To start, that is an extremely reductive description of this anime. Feel like this anime is everything 80s. If you were going to describe this to someone, you go, picture 80s anime. This is that. And it sort of just fills all the little boxes.
It feels like it. Once you said that it was actually animated in 85, it feels like so much more makes sense.
Right.
All the design choices make sense, especially the hair.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. Yeah, the hair.
Hey, I was hoping we were going to give a chance to talk about that. The hair. My gosh, I
feel like that's a great place to start because if anything screams 80s aesthetic, it's anime hair, right? And this absolutely a king of that trope. It wears that on its sleeve. Everybody's got anime hair. Anime hair colors, anime hair styles. I have a comment that maybe you guys noticed, maybe you didn't, but I did, and it drove me fucking crazy. It's that she has such anime hair, and I'm not talking about Iczer One, I'm talking about Nagisa. Nagisa has such 80s anime hair that her bangs had bangs.
Yes.
This.
You have that different color.
This bang that comes down the front, and then it's got like a little bang coming off of it. It's the whole fucking anime. It drove me crazy. So, you know why? Her bangs had bangs. That's how anime 80s this was. And yeah, Ixer's hair was everywhere. It was saying.
Since we're talking about hair, you know, the thing has always bothered me about I guess adaptations where you meet somebody who is coming to Earth and they're supposed to be an alien, but they start rocking hairstyles appropriate for the Earth as opposed to something they should be wearing in high fashion on their Earth. Are you telling me that 80s hair is somehow in fashion on your planet?
80s hair.
It transcends.
80s anime hair is universal.
I was gonna say it's out of this world, but let's go with so we all have our so it's all no, you're not wrong. But I mean, like, that's a problem with all science fiction stories, right? Either it's dated, it's like in the year 2020. It's like, oh, son, we left that a long time ago now. or the aesthetic is, or you look at Appleseed, where they still had clickety-clack computers and dot matrix printers, and it's supposed to be this utopian future society. you're limited in scope to what is relevant to the audience at the time. So a lot of these things you have to kind of forgive.
Even just imaginable.
Yeah, like you can't even conceive. Now it's a little bit easier. People are able to conceive some pretty wild shit, but the 80s we were pretty limited in scope.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's it's interesting. This anime, like I said, it's sort of a collection of the 80s greatest hits. There's a lot of that strong. It opens with typical anime scene as an anime girl with an anime jumpsuit and her anime hair getting into an anime fight with a human who like just bursts in an extremely well animated moment, and his flesh bursts open to reveal he's a squid monster. In a typical 80s fashion, gets his face blasted off. It's so 80s. It's so 80s anime. Of an opening, you can't. You could just show that scene and somebody go, "Oh, that's from the 80s." And you'd be like, "Yep, sure is."
Yeah, between the hair and the music, yeah.
Yeah, right? I was going to say the music that's it.
Oh, yeah. And that translates through this whole series. 3 episodes. The first 2 being a half hour, the last one running about 45 minutes. Not getting any clearer as you go. That's kind of the thing I really had. English dub, which none of us watched because that's not what I had. It does feature Wendy Lee as Iczer One, which is a fun little nod because she played Vanessa in Super Dimension Fortress Macross. She was Bulma in Dragon Ball, a Valentine in Cowboy Bebop, Kione in Tenchi Muyo. So she's kind of like anime royalty. She's been in a lot of the big ticket stuff. So this story it features Cthulhu, not Cthulhu. Not the way you know Cthulhu. It's a name seemingly plucked out of a novel simply because it sounded alien. They just attributed this name to something completely un-Cthulhu-ish. A bunch of aliens. And they use creatures called Venoms, whatever, depending on how you looked at it, to infest and replace humans across the world. So they use Skrulls, bug Skrulls, to replace people. But yeah, everything about this aesthetically is peak 80s. 80s hair, 80s monsters, aliens, giant robots, horror, lesbians, nudity. This anime has it all. Everything, every trope that you ever heard somebody talk about anime, it's probably in this.
I swear, as you keep on hearing it saying 80s, I was like, damn, it really makes so much sense. Because I'm thinking that this is 90s.
Right, because it was for us. It was for us. I mean,
we got it in the 90s.
Yeah, this is mid-80s. It's 100%.
You remember, to longtime listeners, remember the show How I Met Your Mother? Right?
Of course, yeah.
And Robin Sparkles, how she's talking about Canada.
Oh, yeah. The 80s didn't come to Canada until the 90s? Yes, I remember.
Right. I feel like that's what happened to us with this anime.
Yes. That's exactly it.
Yeah, back then, we didn't get anything till like the very, very late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, and the early 90s
was on TV.
Early 90s were the big bum rush because everybody's like, they have all this shit, this backlog from the 80s that they could start releasing. So, villains are Cobalt, Sepia, Violet, Gold.
All colored.
Guess all the primary color names were taken, so they had to all these other ones. That's right. Big Gold.
Yeah, is Sir Violet a ma'am?
Sir Violet is an Aerosmith song because dude looks like a lady.
Is that?
And as it turns out,
Motherfucker.
as it turns out, dude was a lady, apparently.
Yes.
So that's something that I definitely want to talk about. This is let's see. It's anime.
Look, I swear to God, you almost had me looking like an idiot. Because you said Sir Violet was the Aerosmith song, and I was hey, Andrea, please make sure you go ahead and link the notes so we can find out what song and what album Sir Violet's on. Oh man.
Oh man, it's bad you just outed yourself.
So this anime has a lot going on, but not a lot going on.
Uh-huh.
I feel like that's part of is one of the strikes I have against it, is that it wants to tell a bigger story than it clearly had time for.
And the pacing felt a little off because of it.
Yeah, and there's things about it that feel very unresolved. The anime is top notch. The animation quality for an OVA from '85 is fantastic. There's so much beautiful destruction in this, so much just excellent animation. Just all of it's really, really well done. If you want picture perfect representation of what '80s anime is, this is an excellent one to show people.
The giant robots. I love those.
Yeah,
Those are
the
cool.
giant robots were great. What I loved about Iczer Robo, he had his own theme song. So
Yeah.
every time Iczer Robo came out, it was the Iczer Robo music. I'm like, hell yeah.
Now, on top of
Now
that,
we
it
know.
drove me nuts because I think the Delos Theta looked better than Iczer Robo.
Oh, hell yeah. De Los Theta
Oh,
looked
yeah.
great. And Iczer Sigma looked cool. Iczer Sigma had a cape. Iczer Sigma was
Yeah.
a 300-meter mech with a cape.
I know. I was like, I can have a cape? You know, Edna says no capes.
Yeah, that was it. Luckily, Sigma figured it out. At some point, it dropped its cape, but it still, when it came out, it was a 300-meter robot with a fucking cape. It was amazing.
Who
All it really
stitches
needed-
all that shit?
Exactly.
Was it dry clean?
There's a sweatshop of Bedhams. Like,
I know.
They have a sweatshop of Venoms inside of mechs making these things for mechs.
that's right.
Well, they got a ton of tentacles, so it's okay.
Yeah,
they can
that's
they can
stitching.
do a lot in one second. How many bolts of fabric did that thing take? You
I
know?
will say this, dudes, nobody does horror like the Japanese. The horror, the body horror and stuff in this is terrifyingly good.
Aaron good.
The tentacle face thing coming out of the back of her schoolmates when she's like hallucinating in class. That's terrifying shit. It doesn't stop there. The body horror just goes this whole thing. It's horrifying.
Parents?
I felt like it was. It felt like it was going to go to like a kind of like a soft corn Yurosugudochi.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Or
It felt
that's-
like
yeah.
okay, it's about to get full on body rapey and shit like that hentai, and they're like, no,
I mean,
No,
it's
it stopped right before like Skinamax.
right.
Yeah.
It
Right before
starts,
Skin War.
yeah, it starts with like the two lesbians, Cobalt and Sepia, like they're all in love or whatever. And it's like, oh, we're just gonna, the Bedlams are doing their job, whatever, and then we're gonna fuck up the earth. It's great. And then they like kiss and you're like, oh, this is that kind of anime. And then she's
Why
in
did your
school,
voice drop deeper on that? Why did your voice?
and then she's in
Oh, is
school,
that kind of anime?
and the hair parts and like this tentacle face thing comes out, and you're like, oh, it's that kind of anime.
Yeah.
Just every time you think you've got a beat on this, it changes, and then a fucking giant
changes.
robot shows up, and they're like, "Oh, it's that kind of anime." Like,
And that's like the first 20 minutes.
Yeah, I was watching it downstairs on the big screen, and then I saw the two girls. I was like, wait, maybe I should be watching this on the big screen.
Like,
There.
this
You
is
need
an
to go-
upstairs show.
So I went upstairs. I was like, I don't want to traumatize the family. And I'm
Right.
hiding, and I'm like, wait a minute. No, this one is kind of safe.
it's all over the place. Like, you don't even know though. And then there's things like the obligatory shower scene. It's like, oh, you bitch got tossed off a roof. She's fine because the alien catches her, and she doesn't freak the fuck out. But she goes home and has a shower. 'Cause of course she did. And
Showers are refreshing.
The question that I had is why do only half of the pilots have to be naked? Why
Right.
why did they both why did only one have to
So
have
yeah, I
clothes?
actually have a note for that. It's like the one being used as the power source had to be naked, where the one piloting had to be clothed.
it's like,
Yet
will
they all
you
connect
sync?
the same way with these weird
But,
tentacle
yeah.
things.
You sync with me? I was like, can I be the one on top? Because I don't.
I back to be bottom. I'm sorry. It's whole new meaning.
No, another thing that tripped me out. So we're talking about the whole. You would have thought that. Apparently, we come to find out that both Iczer and Iczer Sigma, all of them are androids.
Right. Yeah, it's the manufactured. Yeah.
Yeah, they're manufactured. You would have thought the android would have to been the one that had to be the power source.
Right.
Right?
Hey, let's,
Yeah, you'd
let's
figure
get-
the android would have to be the naked one.
as opposed to the biological material. Oh.
I don't know.
That was weird.
Maybe
It should have been
the
all or nothing.
android's nipples didn't work, and that's why they needed the other ladies to be
Right.
naked.
That's it.
Because there was a lot of gratuitous nip scenes. I'm telling
I feel like Skynet was saying, "Hey, we need John Connor, but we want John Connor to be the power source, and we're going to run this shit up here."
you.
It was the weirdest Skynet takes over I've ever seen in my life.
Really is, yeah.
That would be like Skynet sending the Terminator back fully clothed, and everyone else had to be naked.
I
Right?
don't know. It's just strange. It's definitely a strange dynamic that they never really discuss
At all.
And why does Iczer One need Nagisa to be her power source when in the next episode Sigma or Iczer 2 gets to use what's her
Sepia.
name? Sepia as a power source? Like, well, if you can just make power sources, why don't you just make a power like it's just
I think
again, a lot of unresolved questions for me with this anime.
I think what it was is that Iczer did not have a vowel at the end of her name. Same thing with Cobalt. Cobalt had a T, but Sepia.
That's what it is.
Nagisa.
And Nagisa. Yeah, okay. All right. Hey, you know what? It's better than any excuse they gave me.
Which they gave none.
Right. There's this thing that they do that I kind of liked. Again, because what kind of anime is this? Who the fuck knows? But whenever they're going to fight, they go into like this Doctor Strange mirror dimension thing. They're like isolated from the real world. And I'm like, okay, that's great. It's another
I need
layer.
more information on it.
Yeah, another
Yeah,
layer.
how do you get back?
Why do we
What?
do this? How do you get back? Clearly it's not an exact replica of the place you're fighting in, so it's not, you know what I mean? It's just all the
And
questions.
it's like
But
that's a point because if that served a point, then they would fight in mechs the same way.
hey,
Mhm.
like why do the mechs get to be in the really real world, but everybody else has to go to a mirror dimension to fight? Anyway, again,
Especially since it felt like the next step out of the dimension.
so that was a question I had was where, and I wrote the note for this. I said, where does Iczer One hide Iczer Robo? Like, does she have a pocket? Like, where does
There's
Iczer
a
Robo
pocket
go?
dimension.
Iczer Robo's not. And I think, Brian, I think that is the answer. I think she hides it in an alternate dimension, like one of those mirror dimension things. But I don't know. Like, they don't tell you. You just have to kind of like infer that that's what happens. Because you just like, or Ragnarok's his way out every time you need him.
I would also like to say that I think this was, we talk about beautiful destruction.
Oh, man.
I think this was one of the first times I've ever seen what happens when somebody who is piloting a mech gets punched inside the cockpit.
I was, oh,
Yeah.
man. What I wrote was, at 22 minutes, 45 seconds, there was some beautiful destruction when the two mechs are fighting, when Robo and the first, whatever that is, they called it, were fighting. And Cobalt gets punched into goo.
Yes.
The fist
That's the big.
right into that face. And you just see the whole thing crunching in on her. And you're just like, well, she's goo. It's just
And I was like, you know what? I've always wondered what that would look like.
Yeah.
You know?
hey, that's it. It's like pulls back white goo. Just like pulverized her.
I'm like, oh, she
Uh,
did. She did.
yeah.
She beat that.
She can't walk it off. It's not gonna.
It's no bouncing back from that one.
The one thing that I liked about Nagisa, she
Yeah.
made me laugh. In the first episode, she was like, "Will you fight with me?" "No, thank you," and she runs away.
Right. But I like that she's like, no, I'm good. And she dips. But then Iczer One takes her anyway. Like, she's like, no, we're going to
Right.
the ship anyway.
Like,
It's like-
no me no did not mean no to her.
It's like, I see the please fight with me was a rhetorical request. So we're just going to absorb you and take off your clothes now.
Yeah, it's real nice when kidnapping is okay to save the world.
She was very polite. "No, thank you." And
So good.
Like,
So now, by the third episode, is she like convinced that okay, this is okay, or is it Stockholm syndrome?
it's full on Stockholm, I think.
Because even in the second episode, she agreed to, and I love that about her, Iczer, in the second episode. She's like, what do you mean you won't fight with me? You sync with me to fight Theta? That's basically third base. You're like being a sync tease right now. Like, come on, let's do this.
but I like how at the end of the first fight, she's like, "Don't you want to avenge your parents?" And the only reason why the parents die in the first place
Because of her.
is Iczer One told her to
So my note was, she says, once their bodies are taken over, there's no hope. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
so they're fucking dead. Got it. And she slaps her. She slaps Iczer One in the face. And I'm like, that is an appropriate reaction to finding out your parents are dead.
reaction.
Because an alien arbitrarily chose you to be its life partner in a battle for all humanity.
Arbitrarily.
Just, one's cute. Like, that was it.
Yeah.
The event.
She said, I picked you because I liked you. It's like, really?
It's like that's the qualification.
Not because I'm smart.
Your parents are dead because I had a crush. Like, that's... yeah, a slap? That's appropriate. Yeah. I don't know, man. Okay, so I do have a note about, again, because I keep coming back to it, I know. This anime is a lot of things, yet nothing all at once. About 19 minutes in, got this, I don't know, it's like a sight gag, I guess, where the military response shows up with Fuji
I wanted to
One.
bring that up. That was like so 60s and 70s, like Godzilla.
What
and
the shit is
Ultraman
this? Yeah, they like
where you have
they,
these weird ship flying through the city.
it felt kind of like in Project Echo, where they had like the big hold up with the scene with the military showing up. I'm like, a military response, Fuji One, and then it's a joke.
Yeah.
It's absolutely a sight gag. And like, we're doing sight gags in our sci-fi horror lesbian giant robot anime now. I don't.
And they did it more than once.
Right. Every episode has a Fuji, and
That humans get spanked every single time.
And Fuji failed every single
it
time.
escalates. It escalates. This one is like a, I don't know, like Science Team Gotcha Man or something, and then like the next one's clearly like an SDF Macross. The third
Right.
one's like a Yamato. Like, they just keeps and every time they all get taken out. It's terrible.
Yes.
I hate the message that it tells us.
Yeah.
Right? Look, it tells us that, look, it doesn't matter what alien comes in here. It could be from fucking Outlanders. It could be from Macross. It could be from any alien come here. We are screwed.
Every time.
Oh, let's be honest, Brian. If an alien could get here, yeah, we'd be screwed.
I mean, they're already
But I
class
love the
two.
fact that
Get
they
anywhere
had
yet.
they had that climactic music too. Like Fuji
Yes.
One comes
Yeah.
out, they're like boom, boom, boom. Then Fuji
that was
Two is
so
like
60s
even
and
more.
70s, like
Yeah.
live action Japanese show.
Oh, Fuji 2, they even had like the Macross style helmets, like the silly huge visors, and the commanders like with the military uniform. Like, oh my god, they're really just
The bad guys just went. Like,
yeah. Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, it's so disjointed. I think that's the thing about this anime is like it didn't know what kind of story it wanted to tell. It's like, are we being horny? Are we being horrified? Are we being like adrenaline? Or what are we doing? What is this?
In what way are we supposed to enjoy this? Are we supposed to laugh at it?
Because at that point, I'd seen a girl's parents' flesh be peeled off, and they turned into
Yes.
tentacle monsters and try to face rape their own daughter. I am not ready to laugh. It's a whole different vibe.
like the soldier's eyes popping out, and then the big, and you're just like, what is happening?
It's all over the place.
God.
It really
It's
was.
funny because by the time the Fuji One came back, was on screen,
Yeah.
there was also a huge sign saying, "We are the WRLBE."
I'm so
it's like,
glad
I-
you wrote it down.
I have no idea. How do you pronounce that?
We Are the World? I don't know. Was there
We are
going
the
through?
world. The world.
Maybe it was supposed to be the We Are the World thing. I don't know.
It would be the 80s. That'd be right.
Yeah,
What?
it
that'd be-
would be relevant. Yeah.
Right, but
So-
like I said, it was WRLBE.
Yeah.
That is
Ah.
weird.
Well,
Well, I want to point out too that in Fuji One, they did a screen of the cockpit, and they all look like they were pirates. Like they had that one greasy looking guy with the look on his face.
they had one
They
guy that
didn't
was
look
all
like-
eyebrows. And
Yes, and one guy no
Yeah.
mustache, no mouth.
So
they,
it's it.
they zoomed in on that. I was like, okay, so the military are pirates. Is that
So
what that
it
is?
said everything about that sequence was like they were going for a sight gag, and I couldn't believe they were going for a sight gag in the midst of everything that they'd sandwiched that segment
What
with.
So,
I just
we're not going to talk about the lightsabers.
Oh, we have to.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's,
Take notes on that too.
again, lightsabers
And then-
in this.
So,
And then
look,
shocky fingers.
so you
I
can
got,
get.
I got an one sec. Let me get this real quick, Brian. Then you can say whatever you want. Iczer 1, blue lightsaber, yellow force lightning. Whereas Iczer 2 had a yellow lightsaber and blue force lightning.
All right, so, Rick, when you were talking about, you had a huge or long list of what this anime is. Can we
Yeah.
now got to add Star Wars to it now?
Yeah. Oh,
So-
yeah. It's absolutely.
What is in my? Go ahead and go now.
Well, you want the list again? Because
Yeah, we gotta. Yeah, because we started off with just two things, and now we've progressed away to.
Everyone's Sith. Everyone's got force lightning and lightsabers.
right. It's 80s hair, monsters, aliens, giant robots, horror, lesbians, Star Wars, and nudity,
There you go.
and comedy apparently for 3 scenes.
All right, so I think we need to get to the point where you have to take a second breath, because so far you've gotten all this out in one breath.
That just comes with training.
All right. Just to make sure, is anybody timing or do we know exactly how many things we put into this right now?
Too fucking many. That's my chief complaint here. This anime is crazy. There's a lot of fun to be had, but it doesn't know what it is.
It does
me,
know what it is.
Tried to just sandwich as much from the manga as they could into 3
Yes.
episodes, and it's like it was too much to condense into just 3.
I don't know, man.
Guys, we are all learned people. We know what this is. This is a charcuterie board.
I think you mean charcuterie.
No, it's a charcuterie board. It has
Right.
a little bit of salami over here, a little bit of prosciutto, right over there we got some ham, a little bit of crackers. All you have to do is pair it with a sparkling wine, and everything will make fucking sense.
And so as agree, you're right. As a protagonist, Iczer One kinda sucks at her job.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
She couldn't manage to protect her most valuable asset, her sync partner that she randomly chose. Couldn't save the Earth because it got hella scorched Earth at the beginning of episode 2. Sepia unleashed her rage, and the city was just leveled, like nobody
Lost
around.
an arm.
Yeah, it just kind of sucks at her job. As far as trying to protect the Earth, nailed
And
it.
then they did an Etch-a-Sketch. They
Well-
they fuck everything up, and then just shook it back to normal.
Dude, I take issue with that because I still don't even fully understand the fucking story. So
Yeah.
you shake away all the narrative that you've been building with a hand wave, and I'm just like, what even happened? It's still not 100% certain. I had to go to Wikipedia to have somebody explain to me what the story was supposed to be. And I watched the anime a second time to verify that it wasn't in the anime. It's not. Or it's small snippets of it. So either the people that filled the Wikipedia entry inferred a lot, or they read the manga and gave me an accurate description of what's supposed to be happening. Because it ain't in this. I don't know. We'll get to it when we get near the end here.
Okay.
It's anyway. Agi says a sync tease. Syncs with you at first. Then the next time's like, I don't want to sync anywhere. That's fucking weird. And Sir gives her this bracelet of destruction. She's like, hey, I know the city's been leveled, but I gotta go do some shit. So I'm gonna leave you here by yourself in a city that's been leveled, filled with people who may or may not be monsters. But you've got this bracelet, so you're gonna be fine. And
It's gonna be fine. It's
It's
fine.
like, you'll be fine. Everyone else,
Yeah, you'll
No
be
big
fine.
everyone else can piss off. You'll be fine.
Just be like, hey, listen, lady, last time you flew off, my parents died. How about we maybe don't separate anymore?
Yeah.
Like, let's just not. But no.
And where did she go? Where the fuck did she go?
Home? Oh, where
She
did
got
Iczer
caught.
go? Iczer got
She got
caught,
caught.
yeah.
She was trying to spy, and she got caught. Because, between the hair and the bikini unitard.
You can't be a spy with hair that big. I'm just saying.
No, you cannot. Your hair comes before you. Your hair puts on it.
Now,
So
do you
true.
think she needed to have the bikini and the unitard?
I feel like that's a question that only a superhero can answer,
Right?
and then
It's
answer is
Aiden's
yes.
aesthetic. It's right up there with the hair.
If
Did
Superman
Sepia's voice
and Batman
change?
were, huh?
Did Sepia's voice change in episode 2?
Very well may have.
Okay.
But it
That's
may
what I-
also have been a character adjustment because in the first
Well, yeah.
anime, the first episode, she was, I want to say, more innocent, more, infatuated.
Yeah,
And
in my
then in the
episode
second
2,
one-
he was just wanting revenge.
Yeah, she'd gone full evil villain mode.
Mm-hmm.
But not full evil villain mode because
little
Iczer 2 decides to, curb stomp a little girl. And Sepia's like, wait, are we doing that? Because I don't like that at all. We shouldn't do that. And then their sync isn't working right, and they get their ass handed to them. So there's that.
And she died during that part too?
No, and here's the thing about that though. Oh wait, so Sepia dies for sure.
Okay.
And I want to say that Sayoko fucking died too, because I don't remember
yeah.
ever seeing her again. Even though there's a line of dialogue where Ixer's like, oh, she's fine. I gave her my bracelet. I'm like, you did? Wait, no, I lied. They did show her afterwards.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
She's unconscious.
Yeah, she wasn't splattered or anything, so.
Did show her afterwards. She was curled up and she
yeah.
had the little bracelet on. So I was wrong. Yeah, sorry.
But she was also down a parent too.
Yeah, no shit. Basically, Ixer has now killed 2 sets of parents.
Yeah,
Very
she's
nice.
in Disney villain territory.
Really, really messed up. Anyway, so yeah, I don't know. She doesn't seem very trustworthy at this point. That's all I'm saying. I'm looking through my notes. So there's lots of beautiful destruction in the second episode. Some
What's that?
really great fights between Iczer Robo and Iczer Sigma, and not Iczer Sigma. It's Iczer Sigma in the second one, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, Sayoko's mom was. She got turned into that little monster thing. Yeah, that's pretty much the whole thing, is them building up to that second episode, curb stomping the kid and getting the shit kicked out of them. Right. Okay, cool. That was episode 2.
Wanna
Nagisa
know whole
embraces
thing?
their destiny, but
Big
doesn't. Pardon?
gold. Whole
Yeah,
think
so
about big gold.
Fucking big gold. All right. I'll read the wiki entry to try and explain how this plays out. Because at the beginning of episode 3, they try to give you this backstory with Sir Violet
Yeah.
and Big Gold. The embryonic Big Gold all shows up, and Sir Violet's not Sir at that point. And
Yeah, it's like 4 minutes and 12 seconds of
Mm-hmm.
story building at the very beginning.
yeah.
And
There's a
then-
recap. You get a recap at the beginning of that, and then you get 4 minutes of story building on top of that.
That probably should have happened in episode 1.
Might have been
Yeah.
helpful. Might have been helpful there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, I have a note. They did use an orbital beam cannon on Iczer Robo in episode 3. So we
Yes.
had our
Yep.
80s orbital beam cannon. That was important. Lost an arm to that one. All
And
right, so
Did the arm come off with blood?
there was like a fleshy bit inside
Okay.
the armor. Yeah, it was. I don't
Hydraulic
know.
fluid.
Yeah, totally. That's what that was. Again, it's because why would they explain what the robots are? Because they do say that they're alter ego. They don't say that's my ride. They're like, that's
The
my
giant
alter.
people.
Yeah,
Mhm.
are they? Like, I don't know. It's weird. Anyway, all right. So this is what Wikipedia says about Big Gold. Big Gold relates that she and Iczer One were both created at the same moment by an ancient alien machine built to grant the desires of its creators. Matriarch of the Cthulu would eventually become Sir Violet, passed within range of the machine just as she exclaimed in despair that her race would die in space and never find a new home. That moment, Gold appeared to tell her that her wish was granted. He had changed her idyllic society into a fascist nightmare, had mutated the once benign Venom, whatever, You see, their current parasitic forms. Gold was an embodiment of desire, and it had to remain, and then it remade the Cthulhu race. Whereas Iczer One was the opposite side, or the other half of the prophecy. She was conscience. Her role was to fulfill the Cthulhu matriarch's wish to destroy them all, eve of finding a new homeworld. I'm collectively shrugging with my co-stars here because at no point do they explain that
Any of that.
Big Gold is
Okay.
basically V'ger and the Enterprise got too close. Like, that's basically the kind of story here. It's weird. I wish they would have explained that a little better. They show that Big Gold shows up, you grant Sir Violet's wish, but they don't
Yeah.
explain any of
The whole reasoning, how, why, anything.
none of that.
I mean, in the end, doesn't Big Gold kill the person who asked for the wish anyways?
Yeah, fucking Violet gets
Yeah.
like aced, right? And Nagisa gets aced too. But I mean, it's again, it just
Or does she? This
so
the last episode. So it's
right. So Nagisa dies because Iczer kills her,
like,
and like her naked ghost goes inside of Iczer, and then Iczer goes
and
Super
her boobs
Saiyan.
light up. Yep,
Right,
and then her boobs light
her
up.
boobs light up, and Iczer goes Super Saiyan.
Yep.
And she goes like full Super Saiyan, and then she kicks Blue Balls and Red Ass, and then kills them both. Red Ass. Well, that's what I wrote because that's what their names sounded like. All right, so basically, after the fight in episode 2, when Sigma gets its ass handed to them because sync breaks, Iczer 2, she's all butthurt and she's like, gloom and doom, and then she summons 2. I want to call them Tekkaman Guyvers. They're Blue Balls
That's
and
acceptable.
Red Ass.
Name.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So Blue Balls and Red Ass get summoned in, help her capture Nagisa, whatever, and Red Ass gets his ass handed to him pretty quick. Iczer like gouges his eyes and fucks him up with lasers. Blue Balls is a pain in the ass because, I mean, he kicks Iczer in the tit and then runs. It's
Yeah.
like his big claim to fame. She goes through all this trouble to get Iczer Robo with his awesome theme song, help her break into this giant pyramid that's in the center of Tokyo. And in there waiting is Blue Balls and an army of bedlams. And all that happens is he kicks her in the tit, she grabs her tit as it hurts, and he runs. I'm like, oh, that was a fight.
It's like a 6-year-old. It's like
And-
touch and run.
Right. And I think it was like he kicked his, oh shit, I hit a boob. Fuck, I gotta go. And then he like runs.
Harvey Weinstein.
I gotta go to HR. So, again, all of this shit looks really cool. I can't express enough how well animated this is.
Yeah.
No, it's absurd.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to use the word absurd.
Okay,
I-
how would you
I wouldn't-
describe it?
Mismatched but incomplete.
Okay,
You know what it is? I got it. It is, this anime was given to us on AOL, and everything is buffering, and we did not finish the buffer. So,
Dang.
What happened is
The-
that it was buffering, but it was still streaming in real time. So when it caught
Right.
up, we skipped a section.
right. So there's actually, we don't notice, but it's actually like 2 more episodes that's somewhere sandwiched between this whole shit that explains a lot more.
what I can say is, you can take any one sequence of this anime and present it as evidence that 80s anime was really good.
Pretty much.
But you can't put it all as a whole and say 80s anime stories were really good. You can just go, 80s anime was cool. Look at this scene where this 80s hair chick in a bodysuit like fucks up a robot. This is awesome. Look at this scene where 2 giant robots, one's got a cape and they're using Kamehameha attacks on each other in the middle of a destroyed city. That's fucking cool. Like
You're like Star
individual-
Wars.
yeah, here's Force lightning and lightsabers. Every one of these sequences by itself is really cool. None of them add up to a really good story.
None of them work well together.
Right.
It was a shiny red ball. That's really what it was. They had this really big scene, and they go, "Ooh, ball!" And then you go over here, and it's like, "Oh, ball!"
There's a fantastic sequence. I loved the action sequences in this anime. They're all great.
Oh yeah,
I really liked when Iczer 2 and Iczer 1 are fighting. Every time they're having a fight, it's fucking great. And the way they end their fight, he does that like samurai style slash with the lights. That's fucking great. It's cool as shit. But it does, it's just that by itself doesn't make the anime. And that therein is the overreaching problem I have with this. I don't have a problem with it for a lot of reasons. It's still fun. It's still wild. Like, it's a crazy, great representation of 80s anime. It's also a crazy bad representation of anime storytelling.
Do we know how many days this entire story takes place from?
That's a great fucking question.
Like, is it a couple of days? Is it weeks? Because Nagisa obviously is emotionally unstable because she goes from being sad to hateful to accepting everything to loving Iczer One all in a matter of 3 episodes.
Yeah. No, you're not wrong. Right.
And like, that's not a red flag. I don't know what is.
Seriously, just emotionally damaged. I feel it does feel rather quick, but I want to guess that's part of the pacing of the story. I'm willing to bet that the manga takes place over a course of at least a couple, weeks.
I would hope so. Because even when Nagisa's parents were, when they transformed, it happened during breakfast, and next sequence over, it's nighttime.
Right? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I feel like there's things. So then you get episode 3 is a lot of really just awesomeness, like a lot of action, a lot of really, really cool stuff going on there.
The physical animation was actually the most fluid in the entire series in episode 3.
It's so good. It's really good. But there's this moment where Nagisa is overtaken, brainwashed, whatever it is. She's Shin Hado no Nagisa. I don't know. And he starts attacking Iczer One. Iczer One's compelled to have to strike down her friend. Spoiler alert for this anime from 1985. Somebody dies. Nothing about that felt earned to me. It was a thing, like you said, Vic, like she was an emotional roller coaster for 2 other episodes. And now at the end of this 3rd episode, we're supposed to feel like they had this camaraderie that at no point had been established.
Right.
And this sadness that you're supposed to be feeling because this character that you barely know has to kill you. And that we didn't really establish enough of the emotional turmoil of that relationship. So it doesn't land as well as it could have with better storytelling, an extra episode. I don't know what could have fixed that.
I've made a comment a couple of times in a couple of different shows that we've done about just because you said it happened doesn't mean that I'm supposed to accept it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. This is definitely that.
Yeah, I love you. When?
Good for
Yeah,
you.
how does that happen?
It's like 5 minutes earlier, you saying the exact opposite.
Right. So then she has to kill the main character with bangs on her bangs. And then we, as I established earlier, her naked ghost goes into our protagonist and she goes Super Saiyan. I'm not exaggerating. Her hair literally glows yellow and a big burst of energy comes out as she screams in rage. Like, it's literally Super Saiyan. And then she immediately kills Blue Balls, like with like a single punch. It's absolutely some Super Saiyan shit. And then she has just a baller samurai style fight with Iczer 2. It was really cool. And she gets to the big bad, Big Gold, because even this goes full Dragon Ball, because that's not even Big Gold's final form. Big Gold charges up to unleash their final form, and it's like gold green goo or gold energy cloud. I'm not really sure what the final form.
I couldn't.
Gold column of jizz. I don't know. It was gold. It was. I don't know what it was.
A face coming out of it.
Had a face. Yeah.
It reminded me of like Power Rangers. If you know that
Zordon. I was thinking. I'll go older. I was thinking it was like Master Control from Tron. And it was just this big face in a column. But yeah, that's it. And then she like wins. I don't know. It's like a big flash of
He
light. And then
flies
it's all,
through his face or something, or
yeah, it's like it's this big flash
shoots
of light.
something
And
through his face.
all over.
Yeah.
And then apparently what happens is Iczer One absorbed Big Gold into her body too. Apparently that's Iczer One's power. She's a sponge, I guess, because she soaked up Nagisa and she soaked up Big Gold and won.
She's no face.
That's it. She's no face. That's it. You got it.
everything.
Studio Ghibli.
All
For the
ties
win.
into Ghibli Fest. This episode's officially a Ghibli Fest episode. Yeah, I don't know. And so then, let them make their own rules. And so
Okay.
in episode 1, she says to Nagisa, once their bodies are taken over, there's no hope. That's it. Your parents are dead as a doornail, which means Sayoko's parent is dead as a doornail. Those people are dead. When you're floating in upper atmosphere with your dead girlfriend in your arms, apparently you can do whatever you want.
Yep.
So
Anime
she
logic.
grants her wish and restores Earth to what it was.
You know what that means she also restored? Fuji One.
1, 2, and 3.
And 3.
Yeah, bitches, you're back.
Justice for the Fuji military. I want to say that this anime, I'll tell you this anime had sequels. Listeners, if you don't know. There was an Iczer 3, not an Iczer 2, because see, Iczer 2 was evil and Iczer 2 died. So, but there's an Iczer 3, which is actually an Iczer 2. Because the anime is the second anime. It's about Iczer 3. You know how I'm confusing you? That's how this works. So, Iczer got released in the States as Iczer Reborn. It's a sequel. I don't know if we're ever going to cover it or not. I'm not going to tell you about it because I haven't seen it. But we'll say that it takes place years later, starring the grandchild of the Nagisa from this one. So the reason I bring it up is if you're looking to have more explanation or a conclusion to this, you're not going to get it. The next one takes place way fucking later.
It's a point of you're gonna have to read the manga series.
I guess so. Like a lot of anime from that era.
That's doing homework. We don't do homework here.
Right. And if you can't give us a whole story, then you had 3 episodes, people. And then the next one after that's Excellion, which is a 90s anime, and we'll probably cover that one too at some point. But it also has no connection to this other than the X part of the name. There's no resolution to this. There's no expansion on this. What you've got is, that's it. These 3 episodes.
What you got is what you get.
That's it. Get what you get, and you don't have a fit. That's it.
Wow.
That's what this is. So I feel like we're in a good place. I think we can maybe start wrapping. What do you guys have? Anything you want to add before we go into finals? Solid.
Yeah.
No,
Brian, would you like to start?
Yeah. Huh?
Thank you.
Like,
Deep.
sometimes we have the show that, and I come through thinking that, maybe I didn't catch it, or maybe it wasn't for me, right? And then hopefully at the end of it, you guys will give me some clarity.
Sure.
That didn't happen.
No.
Sometimes I come with it, and I realize that I'm the one that I either liked it or loved it, and I'm the odd one out, Ponyo, or we're on the opposite end of the spectrum. That didn't happen. I can see myself as being potentially naive, in this. I'm we're nowhere near an expert, but I think I'm pretty good at what we've been doing by now. And even then, I felt like, what the fuck am I watching? So I'm just going to say, this is Control-Alt-Delete at its finest. Your cat came up and jumped on the keyboard and hit all the buttons, and then you finally got back to it like, oh shit, you've gone really far. Let me just go ahead and Control-Alt, and I'm going to go, or Control-Z, or I'm going to Etch-a-Sketch it, or whiteout, or anything that you would have used in the 80s to say, we fucked up, we're going to go ahead and go back. I think it's the coward's way out. You could have
Sure.
did all this and say, you know what, we're going to do it and we're going to keep it. They did it shit in Macross. Roy Booker died. Nobody came back and got his ass back.
Right.
If you're gonna be balls enough to kill people's parents and kill the girl, let this shit roll on and see how we do it. Don't just. I'm gonna bring it back. I fucked up.
Yeah. They definitely Wizard of Oz to that shit.
Yeah.
So yeah. No, I agree. Lynette, this was your first time with Iczer One.
Yes, it was.
My first time too.
Was it? Yeah. All right. All right. Rock and roll. So let's have it, Lynette. Iczer One.
I felt like it was a little. It reminded me of Family Guy. Like Stewie kills Lois. Lois kills Stewie, and it's all in his head, and he like takes it off, and everything's okay, and nothing's really, and Brian's like, I think it's gonna piss a lot of people off. This is kind of what I feel like happened. It's like you watching it, and we're like, oh wow, this is intense. Great robots, great fight scenes. Oh my gosh, that guy just split in half. There's an eyeball popping out over here. We're like, I don't really know what the whole plot of this thing is, but it's moving. Oh, there's a booby. That type of thing. And then all of a sudden it goes, whoop, whoop, everything's fine. And she's back in school.
I
and
actually
everybody's
heard that
happy.
sound when he did it.
I actually visualized it too, huh?
Right?
That
It's
was
just,
that was so.
there it is.
There you go.
Right? And it's you had all that momentum. You're still trying to figure out what happened, what's going on, and asking questions. And they just went, yeah, you know what? Forget it. It's okay. We're starting over. Simulation ended. And he comes out. And you're just like, wait, what?
Yeah.
I don't like this. I enjoyed being confused throughout the whole thing until the end. And in the end, I was like, you know what? Now I'm mad. This is
Right.
everybody should still be dead. We should have people climbing out of the rubble.
Right.
We should have that
Fuji's
climactic
4.
moment. Yeah,
Fuji 4 deserves his
4.
time in the sun.
Fuji 4 should be coming out. There should be like humanitarian efforts. You should be seeing like all sorts of stuff happening. But no, it's just like, okay, back to normal.
No, you got to do the news. You got to do that
Well,
noise.
That's great.
But
Yeah, I think an epilogue like that would have been more powerful, like showing that Nagisa now has to be like Sayoko's mother, and like there's a rebuild that has to happen, and how does humanity move forward from this? Like I think that would have been great.
Even better.
yeah.
Or
We didn't-
Iczer had to be the mother now. Iczer had to be the mother.
Well, Iczer is
or
apparently like
something.
3 people at once. I don't know.
Yeah, you can bring back one, but you can't just go like, bleh,
It's all back.
Oh, that's not the
Again,
noise. That's not the
Throw it.
noise. Yeah.
yeah, bleh.
Sure. All right, Vic. This isn't your first time with Iczer One. I know we've seen.
No, granted, I mean, it's been so long since I've last watched it, so I remembered like bits and pieces, but not the whole thing. It's like, while I enjoyed the overall story, I think it's best described as wasted potential.
Yeah.
Because as we just said earlier, it's like certain sequences were amazing, certain things worked out great, but they don't stick together properly. And I feel like there's so much more to the story that even if they had another 1 or 2 1-hour long episodes, 45-minute long episodes, it probably would have fleshed out better. Or heck, if even the first 2 episodes were 45 minutes, it probably would have fleshed out a little bit better. So it's like, it's one of those that it was, it had the recipe to be great. It was there. And someone didn't read the recipe correctly. And then you ended up with this. So it's not a horrible mess. It's not one that should just be skipped. But at the same time, it's like, hey, you don't have to go out of your way to watch it. It's such a great area. It's like, it's good and not good at the same time.
Look, how are you going to watch it and then say, hey, you're going to watch it, but guess what? Everything, the time that you invested in this, it doesn't fucking matter because we're going to bring it right back.
Yeah.
No.
Hey, why does Marvel get to do it then?
I mean, yeah,
Really?
good question. Yeah.
They snapped half the universe away, then they snapped half, they snapped them back.
because they had to do something they had to give the Hulk a win, damn it. He got shafted in Infinity War. He needed a win. Look, it's coming from a long fucking time Hulk fan, so I've got beef here. Yeah, guys, I'm with you on this. I remember watching this. The tape made its way through our circle of anime friends, and I'd seen it with a couple of us.
Dirty little tape.
Yeah, and I had rose-colored glasses for this one. Coming back to it, I was remembering individual sequences and not the whole picture as a whole. And that was the biggest mistake, was coming into it remembering the rose-colored parts and then having to sit through it all and go, there's nothing here. This is shiny. It's a pretty shiny thing that doesn't do anything. It's a cute little red rubber ball, like what I was saying. It's like, look at it bounce. This is fun. And then it's not anymore. And you're just like, well, this sucked. I feel like if you're in the mood for an absolute visual feast, this is for you. This is probably an anime you could watch with the sound off. Except you'd miss out on Iczer Robo's theme song, which is fucking cool. Besides that, you could watch this with the sound off and just as a visual. If you needed like a really cool, let's say hypothetically, you and some friends decided you wanted to do like an anime podcast, and you wanted some visual you could run in the background while you're talking about anime. This is the anime. This is the one you put on because it's got everything from an 80s anime in it. It's a blender of everything 80s anime. But you can't drink what you blended because it tastes like shit. And
it's like all the great things, but they don't go well together.
They really don't. This is a shitty charcuterie board, Brian. It's a shitty charcuterie. That's not well made.
Or a shitty charcuterie board.
There you go. It's terrible. I don't recommend you go through the trouble of finding this. If you're gonna watch this, it needs to fall in your lap. This needs to be, hey, you know what? I ran out of shit to watch. What's this on Crunchyroll? Let me pull this on. Like, that's the best I can tell you. It needs to die where it lived. And that's in the 80s. It's a visual feast. It's going to leave you hungry. It's the Chinese food of anime. An hour later, you're going to want more anime.
The sushi of anime.
There you go. So yeah, I think that's the best I've got, guys. I don't know a better way to describe it.
I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it.
You got one?
Keep calm. No,
hell
no. Hell no. I'm ready for this one. I want to see what magic you're going to pull out your ass on this one.
Oh, man.
Ryan lives for this moment.
I do.
I don't know. I guess that's going to be our show for today. So until next time, keep calm and, I don't know, watch out for girls in armored bodysuits wanting to sync with you. Or...
No.
Let's go with... Find yourself a girl who will look at you like an alien killing machine with a giant robot in her back pocket.
In her back pocket dimension.
That's right, in her back pocket dimension.
Okay.
Or don't make arbitrary wishes about the end of your species when floating near a sentient space machine.
There you
You've
go.
just been privy to the mindless midlife musings of the anime nerd, presented by Geek Grotto. Follow the podcast on Twitter at Geek Grotto. For show notes and corrections or for general geeky fun, you can visit our website at geek-grotto.com. If you would like to sponsor the show, you can do so on the podcast's Red Circle host site, redcircle.com/shows/MMMAN. If you're listening to us on your favorite podcast app, please like, follow, and subscribe.